Helicopters fire rockets at ISIL targets close to the city of Tel Afar, north of Mosul. Iranian-backed Iraqi Shia militia groups, collectively known as Al-Hashid al-Sha'bi, say they are advancing to take full control of the city's airport.
We began an operation to surround the airport, and today we were able to storm it. We cleared 50% of it. Our troops are at the end of the airport, as well as the villages surrounding it.
Tel Afar is an Islamic State-held area close to Turkey. It lies on a route that ISIL fighters are expected to try and escape along into neighboring Syria. It has a large Turkmen population. Turkey has warned it would intervene militarily if Shia forces commit atrocities in the city, and the Iraqi government is worried too. It has ordered the Shia militias not to try and take control of Tel Afar.
There's an agreement in place, but I think if the popular mobilization forces break it and enter the town of Tel Afar, and some of their factions commit violations, as they have done in the past, of course there will be regional intervention. And this creates a danger for the unity and sovereignty of Iraq and will widen the conflict.
In eastern Mosul, progress for Iraqi anti-terrorism units is slow. This is one of the front lines, close-range combat in the neighborhood of Tahrir. Incredibly, some civilians are still living here. Many have seen their homes destroyed. Despite the ferocity of the battle, this Iraqi soldier says morale is high.
We're not facing major difficulties, we're advancing. We faced one suicide car bomber. ISIL surrounded a number of families and tried to use them as human shields. You know how they operate. We helped rescue around 250 families.
We hit the target with a tank round and a heavy machine gun, this soldier says. Spread out, shouts another. Coalition airstrikes try and help Iraqi forces on the ground. Targeting has to be precise as residents hide in their homes. Medics treat wounded civilians. Truck drivers risk their lives to help those trying to escape.
Mortars are falling on people randomly, random shelling. There is no running water, no electricity.
There are increasing reports that ISIL is targeting those who try to leave, and that it is separating men of fighting age from women and killing them. Iraqi forces say their advance is slow because they're trying to avoid civilian casualties. ISIL hide and attack from among the innocent still here. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Northern Iraq.
These streets are free but devastated. This is the cost of the battle to retake West Mosul from the so-called Islamic State. We are traveling with the Iraqi Federal Police to the heart of the city, where they have IS fighters surrounded. They are taking us to the final front line. We are at the very edge of old Mosul. Walking the streets would be far too dangerous. So instead, soldiers move house to house, making holes to go through. But it is not only the militants that are besieged. Many civilians are still trapped inside.
We hear that civilians are running out of food and water. Most of them are in basements. IS is using them as human shields more than before, but we try to open a safe corridor for them.
The area under siege is small, but the streets are densely packed and will be dangerous for the soldiers trying to take them.
The old city is important for IS because Nori Mosque is there, where Baghdadi called for the caliphate, so they will fight till they die.
The federal police use every trick they can to gain an advantage. This is old Mosul through the eyes of the drone. They track a suspicious car.
Now we are civilian. In this situation, we can move by vehicle, by Moscow. It's not possible. And never thinking there. Also, as you saw, I told them go very close to them to see exactly they have weapons or not. But we are sure they are enemy.
Mosul civilians face a difficult choice: risk their lives trying to escape, or suffer the misery of life under siege.
We were in prison. All we could do was just sit and wait. IS were fighting outside and didn't let us come out. We were running out of food and water.
It is almost 3 years to the day that Mosul fell into the hand of IS. The battle to take it back may be nearing its end, but the hardest part is still to come. Nafisa Kuhnavard, BBC News, West Mosul.
These Iraqi soldiers belong to a unit called the Golden Battalion, special forces on the front line. 27-year-old Kara Hussein is one of 2 snipers hiding in this building in the Zahara neighborhood of Mosul. These guys are cowards, he says. I hunt them one by one. My morale is very high. I feel very comfortable with my unit, he says. It's been a quiet day for me so far. But that is about to change. Kara says there's another sniper in this minaret. His spotter, Faris, looks out across the street. I look out for movements from my position, he says. Ever since I was a small boy, I wanted to be a sniper. Their commander says stopping suicide car bombers is the greatest challenge. The snipers are our early warning systems, he says. We put them in areas we know ISIL will try and counterattack. When they see a car, they try and hit the driver. We've already killed a suicide car bomber here. The soldiers receive information of a possible suicide car bomber close by. They head up onto the roof. Keep an eye on the sky for ISIL explosive drones, says this soldier. After a fierce exchange of fire, there is quiet again. The smoke is from fires lit by ISIL fighters to try and prevent coalition aircraft pilots seeing what's happening on the ground. ISIL released this video showing fighters in a neighborhood close by. In the battle to recapture Mosul, the advance of the Iraqi army is slow and street by street.
The Shifa hospital complex was run by ISIL in its attempt to give the impression of a functioning state. This logo reads Islamic State Nineveh Ambulance Service. Inside what's left of the hospital, there's evidence of ISIL's bureaucracy. This is an order for 20 body bags. It bears the ISIL stamp and is addressed to an administrator. It's marked urgent.
Most of ISIL's foreign fighters were entrenched in this hospital complex. In retaking this area, we've taken ISIL's vantage position and destroyed their defensive lines.
The complex, which was captured on Saturday, is on the eastern banks of the river Tigris. A kilometre or so downstream is where the last remaining ISIL fighters are trapped between the river and a northern area of Mosul's old city. There, civilians continue to emerge from the dust and rubble as Iraqi forces recapture the ancient buildings bit by bit.
We were so thirsty when we saw the security forces approaching. We held a white flag and started to shout out loud so that they could spot us. Then they came and rescued us.
ISIL ruined our lives. They ruined us completely. They filled our ears with mortar sounds. We were crying and so afraid. Everyone was petrified by what they saw.
Iraqi flags are quickly replacing ISIL flags, but they're usually flying over what are the ruins of this country's second city. It took the Iraqi military 3 weeks to secure the 3 square kilometres of Shifa and its hospital complex, an indication of how entrenched ISIL fighters were. And it's the same in the old city. ISIL are hiding in people's homes, using civilians as human shields, setting booby traps, all to slow the advance of the Iraqi security forces. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Erbil.